Tom Walker rubbed his tired eyes as he stared at the holographic display floating above his desk. The numbers didn't lie, but they still seemed impossible to believe. In just 3 months, Deep Space Repair Station 7 had seen more alien ships than in the entire previous year combined. Through the reinforced windows of his office, he could see them now, vessels of all shapes and sizes, their hulls gleaming under the station's external lights. A line of ships stretched out into space, each one damaged or broken in its own unique way. Some sparked with energy leaks, others showed deep battle scars, and a few looked like they'd barely survived close encounters with space anomalies. "Boss, you need to see this," said Mike, his chief technician, bursting through the door. "The new arrival. It's something else." Tom stood up, his joints cracking after hours of sitting. At 55, he wasn't old, but the station's artificial gravity seemed to get a little heavier each year. He followed Mike to the main observation deck, where a sight made him stop in his tracks. A massive crystalline ship hung in space, its surface catching starlight and breaking it into rainbow patterns across the station's hull. But what caught Tom's attention wasn't its beauty. It was the damage. A spider web of cracks ran through its supposedly indestructible crystal structure, threatening to shatter the entire vessel. "Their captain says 3 other repair stations turned them away," Mike said, checking his tablet. 2 Centaurian yards and even a Regellian Mastercraft facility said it was impossible to fix. Tom smiled. Impossible was quickly becoming his favorite word. Every time an alien engineer declared something impossible, his team proved them wrong. It wasn't because humans were smarter or more advanced. Quite the opposite. Most alien species considered human technology primitive, barely worth noticing. But that was exactly why human repair stations were now the most sought after in known space. "Get the team together," Tom said, "and tell Bay 4 to start warming up the old TIG welders." Mike's eyes widened. The ancient stuff. For a crystalline ship. "Along with the quantum stabilizers," Tom nodded. "Sometimes the old ways work best, especially when mixed with the new." As Mike hurried off, Tom watched through the window as their automated tugs guided the crystal ship into dock. A group of its crew emerged. Tall, luminescent beings who moved like flowing water. They looked nervous, if you could call it that. Tom had gotten good at reading alien body language over the years. The station's computer chimed, displaying the day's repair schedule. 15 ships were already in various stages of repair, with another 20 waiting in line. Each one had passed up dozens of their own species' repair yards to come here, to a human station that still used physical tools instead of pure energy manipulation or automated systems. Tom remembered when the first alien ships had arrived, just a few years after humanity joined the galactic community. They'd come out of curiosity at first, amused by the primitive human approach to repairs. But they'd stayed because human engineers could fix problems their own species had declared unsolvable. Walking down to the main repair bay, Tom passed teams of human workers carrying actual toolboxes alongside hovering containers of advanced alien tech. That was the secret that other species were slowly beginning to understand. Humans hadn't abandoned their old tools and techniques when they got new ones. Instead, they'd learned to use everything together, finding solutions in the space between technologies. The crystal ship's captain met him at the airlock, its translucent form rippling with worried colors. "Your station was recommended by the Arcturus trading fleet," it said through the translator. "They say humans understand ships in ways others do not. Is this true?" Tom looked at the impossible damage, already seeing 3 or 4 ways they might approach it. None of them would be proper by alien standards. All of them would probably work. "We don't understand ships better," he said, pulling a manual diagnostic probe from his pocket. Another primitive tool that aliens had largely abandoned. "We just never forgot what it means to fix things with our own hands." The captain's colors shifted to something Tom recognized as hope. Above them, another alien ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel, joining the growing crew. The universe, it seemed, was rediscovering the value of the human touch. The repair bay hummed with activity as Tom's crew gathered around the damaged crystal ship. Light bounced off its fractured surface, creating dancing patterns on the walls. 6 crew members stood ready, each carrying both modern tools and equipment that would have looked at home in an old Earth garage. "Right," Tom said, pointing to the largest crack. "Let's show them how humans fix things." Bill, the oldest member of the crew at 62, stepped forward with something that made the alien captain's colors shift to deep purple, a simple hammer. Next to him, Anna held a quantum scanner in one hand and a roll of duct tape in the other. The aliens watching from their observation bubble probably thought they were crazy. "The problem with crystal ships," Tom explained to his team, "is that everyone thinks they need special crystal tools to fix them. But sometimes you just need to understand the basics." He picked up a piece of broken crystal from the floor and held it up to the light. While alien repair yards would have tried to regrow the crystal using complex energy fields, Tom saw something different. The break wasn't random. It followed natural lines in the crystal, just like rocks breaking on Earth. "Anna, scan the crack patterns," Tom ordered. "Bill, map out the stress points the old way, with chalk and your eyes. Let's combine what we know with what we've learned." The alien captain watched nervously as the humans worked. Its crew had explained that the ship's crystal structure was beyond repair, that the complex, living crystal matrix couldn't be fixed once shattered. They didn't understand why these humans were treating their advanced vessel like a broken window. Hours passed as the team worked. They used heat from old welding tools, carefully controlled by modern temperature regulators. They applied pressure at specific points, guided by both computer models and Bill's 50 years of experience fixing everything from car windshields to spacecraft windows. Where the cracks were too wide, they filled them with a mixture of crystal dust and a special resin Anna had invented, a combination of Earth chemicals and alien materials. "See, that's the thing about human repairs," Tom said to Mike as they watched the team work. "Aliens think we're stuck in the past because we still used physical tools. They don't realize we're combining everything we know." The proof was in the results. Where the crystal ship's own automated repair systems had failed, human hands guided by both experience and technology were succeeding. Slowly, the cracks began to seal. The crystal didn't just hold together. It grew stronger as the humans worked with its natural structure instead of against it. "Look here," Tom pointed out to a young apprentice named Jack. "Other species try to make perfect repairs, to make things exactly like they were. But sometimes, a repair needs to work with the damage, not pretend it never happened." He showed Jack how they were using the crack patterns to create new structural support throughout the crystal. When they finished, the ship would be stronger than it was before, though it would carry the marks of its repair like badges of honor. The alien captain's colors had shifted from worried purple to amazed gold as it watched the humans work. Its translator struggled to keep up as it asked rapid questions about their methods. "But how do you know which old techniques to use with new technology?" it asked Tom. Tom smiled, remembering his own apprentice days. "We learn by doing," he said. "Every human here started by fixing simple things, bikes, cars, household items. When we got alien tech, we didn't throw away that knowledge. We added to it." As if to prove his point, Bill called out from across the bay. He'd found a way to use sound waves, guided by ancient glass-cutting techniques, to help the crystal heal itself. It wasn't in any manual, alien or human. It was just another example of human creativity at work. The repair bay's doors opened, bringing in the cool air of space. Another damaged ship waited outside, and after that another. But Tom wasn't worried. His team would find a way to fix them all, one impossible repair at a time. Because that's what humans did best. They fixed things, not because they were the most advanced, but because they never forgot how to work with their hands and their heads together. The entire repair station shook as something huge dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Tom ran to the observation deck, coffee splashing from his cup. What he saw made him freeze mid-step. A battlecruiser hung in space before them, bigger than anything they'd worked on before. Its black hull stretched longer than 3 repair stations put together. But something was wrong. Strange lights pulsed along its sides, and parts of its hull seemed to fade in and out of existence. Emergency call from the battlecruiser. The station's computer announced. They're requesting immediate assistance. Within minutes, Tom stood in the main conference room with the battlecruiser's captain, a tall figure in a dark uniform. Holograms floated between them, showing the ship's damage. "We hit a space anomaly," the captain explained. 5 repair stations have already failed to fix it. The Centaurians said it was hopeless. The Regellians didn't even try. The Arcturus fleet suggested we come here. Tom studied the scans. The ship's quantum drive had leaked, causing parts of the hull to exist in multiple dimensions at once. Normal repairs wouldn't work on something that wasn't fully in one place. "Show me the previous repair attempts," Tom said. The holograms changed, showing how other species had tried to fix the ship. Each one had used their most advanced technology. Each one had failed. "They all made the same mistake," Tom said, pointing to the failed repairs. "They tried to force the hull back into normal space, but you can't force quantum mechanics." The alien captain's expression changed to something Tom recognized as confusion. "You understand quantum mechanics, but humans are." The captain stopped, probably realizing it would be rude to say primitive. "We understand plenty," Tom smiled. "We just look at it differently. Mike, get me the quantum phase toolkit and the old fishing net from my office." "The what?" the captain asked. "Trust me," Tom said. "Sometimes the old ways of catching things work best, even with quantum problems." Soon, Tom's repair crew was hard at work. They used the quantum tools to detect which parts of the hull were shifting between dimensions. But instead of trying to force them back, they did something the alien engineers would never have considered. They worked with the quantum fluctuations. "It's like fishing," Tom explained to his crew. "You don't fight the current. You work with it." They modified the old fishing net with quantum sensors, creating a field that could catch parts of the hull as they phased in and out. Once caught, they could guide these pieces back to their proper dimension, like leading fish into a quiet pool. The alien engineers watched in amazement as the humans combined primitive tools with advanced technology. When one section proved too unstable, Anna suggested using sound waves to calm the quantum fluctuations, a technique learned from old Earth whale songs, of all things. "But that's not in any repair manual," one alien engineer protested. "Exactly," Tom said. "That's why it works." Hour after hour, they'd brought more of the ship back into normal space. They used everything from modified hand tools to the most advanced alien tech. Where other repair stations had failed by relying only on their most advanced methods, the humans succeeded by using everything at their disposal. The work was hard. 2 crew members had to take breaks when the quantum exposure made them dizzy. But they kept at it, section by section, combining their understanding of basic physics with the latest technology. Finally, after 18 hours of work, the last section of hull stabilized. The battlecruiser was whole again, existing firmly in one dimension. "How?" the captain asked, staring at the readings. "How did you know this would work?" Tom looked at his tired but proud crew. "Because we never forgot something important," he said. "No matter how advanced technology gets, the basic rules of the universe stay the same. Sometimes you need to remember the basics to solve advanced problems." The captain nodded slowly. "Perhaps," they said, "humans understand more than we thought." As the battlecruiser prepared to leave, Tom watched his crew clean their tools, both the ancient ones and the quantum devices. Each one had played its part. Just like humans themselves, it wasn't about being the most advanced. It was about knowing when to use the right tool for the job, whether that tool was 1,000,000 years old or fresh from the latest alien shipyard. As Tom watched the battlecruiser's quantum-repaired hull glowing in the station's lights, his mind drifted back to first contact day, 20 years ago. He had been working as a regular mechanic in his father's garage back then, fixing cars and trucks, when the alien ships appeared in the sky. "You're thinking about the old days again," Mike said, joining him at the observation window. "Hard not to," Tom replied. "Remember how everyone thought we'd have to give up our old ways when the aliens came? That we'd have to forget everything we knew to learn their technology." The memory was clear in his mind. The aliens had arrived with their advanced ships and tools, expecting to teach the primitive humans their superior ways. Instead, they'd found something they didn't expect. "Tell me the story again," said Jack, the young apprentice who had helped with the quantum repairs, "about how humans became the best repair experts in the galaxy." Tom smiled. He told this story many times, but it was important for the new generation to understand. "When the aliens first came," Tom began, "they tried to teach us their way of doing things. Each species had their own special technology, developed over thousands of years. The Centaurians used pure energy tools. The Rigelians worked only with quantum fields. Each one thought their way was the best." He walked over to his workbench, picking up an old wrench that had belonged to his father. Next to it sat a modern quantum spanner that could adjust its size by shifting through dimensions. "But humans," Tom continued, "we did something different. We didn't throw away our old tools when we got new ones. We learned every technique we could, from every species we met. Then we did what humans do best. We mixed everything together." The memory of their first alien repair job came back to him. It had been a small trader ship with engine trouble. Its crew had expected the humans to use their advanced repair systems. Instead, Tom and his team had fixed it using a combination of alien tech and good old-fashioned mechanical know-how. "Other species developed their technology in straight lines," Tom explained to Jack. "They started with one idea and kept improving it the same way. But humans, we came into space late, when everyone else was already advanced. We had to learn everything at once." Through the station's windows, they could see ships of all kinds waiting for repairs. Each one was built using different technology, following different rules. To their own species, these differences made repairs harder. To humans, these differences were an advantage. "See that ship there?" Tom pointed to a vessel that looked like a glass butterfly. "Its builders only use light-based technology. And that one?" He pointed to a blocky craft. "Pure quantum engineering. They think their technologies can't work together. But humans know better." Jack nodded, understanding filling his eyes. "Because we learned it all at once, we can see how everything connects." "Exactly," Tom said proudly. "Other species ask why we still use physical tools alongside quantum fields. They don't understand that having more tools, more ways of doing things, makes us stronger, not weaker." The station's computer chimed, announcing new repair requests. On the display, Tom could see ships from 10 different species, each with their own impossible problems. But he wasn't worried. His team would fix them all, using whatever combination of old and new techniques worked best. "That's the real reason they come to us now," Tom told Jack, watching the young man's eyes light up with pride. "Not because we're the most advanced, but because we understand something important. There's no such thing as outdated knowledge. Every tool, every technique, has its place. Humans don't just repair ships. We bring together ways of doing things that other species never thought could work together." A new alert sounded. Another ship coming in for repairs. Tom smiled, knowing that somewhere in his team's collection of old and new tools, simple and advanced techniques, they'd find the right combination to fix whatever problem came their way. Because that was humanity's hidden strength. Not the ability to match alien technology, but the wisdom to use everything they'd ever learned, from the first stone tools to the latest quantum devices. The first warning came as a soft beep from the quantum sensors. Tom might have missed it if he hadn't been checking everything 3 times, a habit from his car mechanic days that had saved lives more than once. "Everyone stop," he shouted across the repair bay. His crew froze, tools held mid-motion around the battlecruiser's damaged hull. "Something's wrong." The quantum field they'd used to stabilize the ship's hull was beginning to collapse. Worse, it was pulling surrounding space into itself like a drain sucking down water. If it failed completely, it would take both the battlecruiser and half the repair station with it. All non-essential personnel, evacuate immediately, Tom ordered through the station's comm system. He turned to the battlecruiser's engineers who were watching from their observation bubble. What aren't you telling us about this ship? The alien engineers looked at each other nervously before their leader spoke. The ship, it has an experimental drive core. That's why other repair stations refuse to help. If the quantum field fails, it could create a tear in space itself. Tom felt anger rising but pushed it down. There wasn't time for that now. Mike, get me everything we know about space tears. Anna, bring up the old data about black holes. Bill, remember that trick we used to stop the swimming pool from draining when we were fixing it? The pool noodles, Bill asked, confused. But boss, this is a quantum field collapse. Same principle, Tom said. A drain is a drain, no matter how fancy. Jack, get me the quantum foam generators. All of them. The aliens watched in horror as the humans began pushing what looked like glowing pool noodles into the quantum field. The foam generators, attached to the ends, created a barrier that slowed the field's collapse. It's not enough, Anna called out, checking her sensors. The field is still falling in on itself. Tom looked around the bay desperately. They needed something to stabilize the field completely, not just slow it down. His eyes fell on his old toolbox, and suddenly he had an idea so crazy it might work. The quantum field is like a bunch of threads pulling apart, right? He said to his crew. So we need to stitch it back together. Jack, get me my sewing kit. Your what? The alien engineers asked in disbelief. But Tom was already moving. He modified the quantum foam generators to work like needle and thread, using them to literally sew the failing field back together. Where the fabric of space was torn, they patched it with quantum foam. Where it was stretching, they reinforced it with energy stitches. This is impossible, one of the alien engineers said. You cannot repair quantum fields with sewing techniques. Watch us, Tom replied, his hands moving steadily as he guided the quantum needle. Around him, his crew caught on to what he was doing. They began using their own modified tools, each one fixing a different part of the field. The minutes ticked by intense silence. Warning alarms blared and shut off as various systems failed and were bypassed. Tom's hands were shaking from the strain of manipulating quantum forces with what was basically a supercharged sewing needle, but he didn't stop. Finally, after what felt like hours, the quantum field stabilized. The drain effect stopped. The battlecruiser's hull solidified fully into normal space, now held together with hundreds of quantum stitches that pulsed with a soft blue light. How? The alien engineer asked, floating closer to inspect their work. Our most advanced quantum specialists said this kind of repair was impossible. Tom wiped sweat from his forehead, looking at the mix of advanced technology and simple techniques they'd used. That's the problem with thinking something's impossible, he said. It stops you from trying new things, or old things in new ways. He looked at his crew, tired but proud. They'd done what multiple advanced alien repair yards couldn't do, not because they were more advanced, but because they weren't afraid to try something different, something that combined the simple with the complex, the old with the new. Sometimes, Tom said, patting his old toolbox, the best solutions are the ones nobody else would think to try. 3 days after the battlecruiser incident, Tom sat in his office listening to alien communications picked up by the station's receivers. The quantum-stitched repair had caused quite a stir across the galaxy. Humans fixed it with primitive tools, one message said. Impossible repairs made possible, said another, combining old and new techniques in ways never seen before. The messages kept coming, translated by the station's computer into English. Ships from even more distant parts of the galaxy were changing course to visit human repair stations. Some just wanted to see the famous quantum stitching for themselves. "Boss," Mike called from the doorway. "You need to see this." Tom followed him to the main observation deck. Outside, a group of alien engineers had arrived. They weren't here for repairs. They wanted to learn. "We've received requests from 15 different species," Mike explained, checking his tablet. "They all want to send their engineers to study our repair methods." Tom watched as the alien engineers entered the station. There were tall, silvery beings from the Centauri systems, crystal-bodied engineers from the Outer Rim, and even a few species he'd never seen before. All of them had come to learn from the humans they once called primitive. "Show them everything," Tom told his crew. "Every old tool, every new technique. Let them see how it all works together." The next few days were busy with demonstrations. Tom and his team showed the alien engineers how they combined different technologies. They explained why they kept old tools alongside new ones, and how understanding basic principles helped them solve advanced problems. "But how do you know which methods to combine?" a crystal engineer asked, watching Anna use both a standard wrench and a quantum field generator to fix a damaged engine. "We don't always know," Anna answered honestly. "We try things. Sometimes they fail. But we learn from every attempt, successful or not." The alien engineers were surprised by this approach. In their cultures, failing was seen as a waste of time. But they couldn't argue with the results, especially after seeing recordings of the quantum stitching that had saved the battlecruiser. Word continued to spread. The station's communication system picked up messages from across the galaxy. Human repair techniques revolutionize engineering standards. New combined approach challenges traditional methods. Ancient tools find new purpose in modern repairs. Even the most advanced species were taking notice. Ships that would once have avoided human space were now making detours to visit repair stations. Some brought their own engineers to observe and learn. "Look at this," Jack said one morning, showing Tom a message on his tablet. Several alien repair yards had started keeping what they called primitive tool collections, sets of basic tools like wrenches, hammers, and even sewing kits, alongside their advanced technology. Tom smiled, remembering how those same aliens had once laughed at human repair methods. Now they were learning that sometimes the simplest solution was the best one, even for the most complex problems. "They're starting to understand," he told his crew during their daily meeting. "It's not about having the most advanced technology. It's about knowing how to use everything at your disposal." The station had become more than just a repair yard. It was becoming a teaching center. Every successful repair added to humanity's growing reputation. Ships arrived not just for fixes, but for improvements, hoping the humans would find new ways to combine technologies and make things work better. One evening, as Tom watched his crew teaching a group of alien engineers how to use simple hand tools, he felt a deep sense of pride. Humans hadn't needed to abandon their past to join the galactic community. Instead, they had shown the galaxy that true progress didn't mean forgetting old knowledge. It meant finding new ways to use everything they had learned, from the first tools to the latest discoveries. A new ship appeared at the edge of the station's sensor range, its design unlike anything they'd seen before. Tom smiled. Whatever problems it brought, they would find a solution, because that's what humans did best. They fixed things, not by following the rules, but by trying every possibility until they found what worked. 5 years after the famous battlecruiser repair, Deep Space Repair Station 7 had grown to 3 times its original size. Tom stood at the window of his new office, watching ships move in and out of the dozen repair bays that now surrounded the main station. "Ready for today's class?" Mike asked, entering the office with a steaming cup of coffee. Tom nodded, picking up his old toolbox. These days, he spent more time teaching than fixing. The station had become the galaxy's most famous engineering school, where aliens and humans learned together. In the main teaching bay, 30 students waited. Some were human apprentices like Jack had once been. Others were alien engineers from across the galaxy. All of them were here to learn what humans now called universal engineering, the art of combining technologies from different species. Today, Tom began, setting his toolbox on the workbench. We're going to learn about the most important tool any engineer can have. He tapped his head. Your mind and your willingness to try new things. The students watched as he pulled out items one by one. A wrench, a quantum scanner, an old sewing needle, and a piece of the quantum-stitched hull from the battle cruiser repair that had made them famous. These are all just tools, he continued. What matters is how you think about using them. In the old days, species kept their technologies separate. Humans showed the galaxy a better way. A soft alarm sounded. Another ship requesting emergency repairs. But Tom didn't worry anymore. His former students now ran repair stations across human space, and some had even opened their own stations in alien territories. Look there, he said, pointing through the window at a nearby repair bay. Inside, a team of humans and aliens worked together on a damaged ship. They used tools both old and new, sharing knowledge that would have been kept secret just a few years ago. That's our real victory, Tom told his students. Not just fixing ships, but showing the galaxy that we're all stronger when we work together and share what we know. The station's computer interrupted with an urgent message. A ship had appeared at the edge of known space, a design nobody had ever seen before. Its hull was made of living metal that moved like water, using technology beyond anything in known space. Perfect timing. Tom smiled. Let's show our new friends how we do things here. The unknown ship was guided into the teaching bay. Its crew, beams of pure energy, watched nervously as Tom's students gathered around their damaged vessel. Sir, one of the alien students asked, how can we fix something we've never seen before? Tom picked up his wrench in one hand and a quantum scanner in the other. The same way humans have always done it, he said. We look, we learn, and we try things until we find what works. Some of our methods might seem strange, but that's our strength. As his students began examining the ship, Tom saw something that made him proud. They weren't dividing into groups by species anymore. Humans and aliens worked side by side, sharing ideas, combining their knowledge in new ways. The station's observation deck was crowded now. Engineers from dozens of species watched the repair work, taking notes, learning from each success and failure. This was humanity's gift to the galaxy, not just the ability to fix things, but the wisdom to know that every piece of knowledge, no matter how old or simple it seemed, had value. The galaxy's a big place, Tom told his students as they started work on the mysterious ship. There will always be new problems to solve, new technologies to understand. But remember what made humans the galaxy's best engineers. We never stop learning, and we're never afraid to try something new. Outside the station, more ships waited their turn. Some needed repairs, others carried students eager to learn. Tom smiled, knowing that long after he was gone, his legacy would continue. Humans had shown the galaxy that true progress didn't come from having the most advanced technology. It came from having the wisdom to use every tool, technique, and idea at your disposal. The future of repair work would be built on this foundation, where the old and new worked together, where every species shared their knowledge, and where the word impossible had no meaning. Because that was the human way, finding solutions where others saw only problems, and sharing those solutions with anyone willing to learn.